Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Kara. I'm here at the People's Harm Reduction Alliance and with Harm Reduction Doula Collective. I'm a co-founder of Harm Reduction Doula Collective, and we're going to talk a little bit about what to expect when you get to the hospital in labor and delivery. So this can be a time of like super high stress. A lot's going on. If you're coming in and you're experiencing any complications, any sort of like of those big red flags, any bleeding, any dizziness, changes in vision, abnormalities, racing heart, high blood pressure, go immediately to the emergency room. Go immediately to the emergency room. I want to start out by just discussing emergency situations because we shouldn't be afraid if anything feels really out of the realm of normal. And it could be a sign of a complication, preterm labor, gestational diabetes, preeclampsia. The things that we have talked about in those complications go directly to the ER. That is an emergency. They're probably going to call OB triage to the floor and get you right up to labor and delivery and help and skip the line. And you want to make sure that you're naming those symptoms right out the gate. Like, hey, I'm pregnant. I am experiencing, these symptoms. If you're experiencing these symptoms and you're not already en route to the hospital, call 911. Call 911. Have somebody call 911 because these are the types of emergency situations where we need to take it very seriously, and time is of the essence. So we really want to make sure that you're getting the care you need as quickly as possible. So if we are not experiencing some of those symptoms, if we're not like crowning, if we aren't having contractions that are kind of like back to back to back, intense pelvic floor pain, and we're feeling pressure on our lower rectum, like baby is coming out now, there's an urge to push right now, or any of those other pregnancy complications that I just mentioned and have mentioned in previous videos. But we're just kind of like getting warmed up. We're feeling contractions. They're starting to get closer and closer together. Maybe there's some back pain, leg cramping. I know that when I've had contractions, I've felt it shooting all the way down into my feet. I felt a little bit nauseous, a little gross. It feels differently in different bodies, but if you're starting to feel back pain and contractions that are getting closer together, we want to go to the hospital and make a plan to get to the hospital when they're starting to get to about like 10 minutes apart, because we want to be at the hospital when we're experiencing contractions that are 5 minutes apart. That could be a sign that we're already getting to a stage of dilation where we need to be getting up to the labor and delivery suites. So it doesn't hurt to get there too early, but they may make you wait around, or they may ask you to leave and come back. Either way, when you are coming to the hospital and it's not an emergency situation, they're going to want you to not go through the emergency room, but to come in through the main doors of the hospital and go up to labor and delivery. They're going to be, checking your blood pressure. They're going to be performing a cervical check, or seeing how dilated you are. They're going to be measuring the distance, but the length of time between your contractions. And they're probably going to be asking you questions like, how many weeks pregnant are you if you haven't been receiving care at this hospital, and just getting ready to kind of move you into a labor and delivery room. They're going to room you in labor and delivery. So one pro tip to ask for is when you get to the hospital, see if they can place your IV when you get there. So as labor progresses, as you're more tired, you might be dehydrated, it could be harder to get a line. And if you have veins that might be more difficult to hit, getting that place earlier when you're not in quite so much pain or needing fluids or medication is going to be a lot easier. And it also gives you time to kind of see who's going to be placing your line. And if they try to hit you more than a couple times, ask for a new nurse. ask for a new person, because you shouldn't have to be stuck multiple times to get a vein. This is what they do all day long, and if they can't hit your vein, then they need to find somebody who can. So let's get that out of the way so that we can get some fluids moving in, so that we can get you comfortable. Same goes for when labor has progressed to the stage of dilation, usually around 6 centimeters, that they want to give you an epidural. You have the right to, 1, refuse an epidural if you don't want it. 2, if you decide to get an epidural, then make sure that the anesthesiologist is hitting it in the first 2 to 3 sticks. If they are not placing the epidural, you do not need to have the same person try to stick you numerous times. Remember, you get to kind of like hire and fire your care. So if a nurse is making you uncomfortable, if you have somebody who is not treating you with dignity, respect, or you've said no and that no isn't being honored, you can ask for that person to not be. I don't actually care if you just like don't like their shoes that day. You don't like their shoes, you get to decide who is in the room, who you feel comfortable with, because when you're more comfortable, that's going to help your birth move along better and more smoothly, because you're going to feel safer in that space. So I'm moving through this because we've already talked about a lot of the interventions and comfort measures and stages and stations and all of that for labor and delivery in other videos. But a lot of folks don't know, if they haven't had a baby before, or a baby in a hospital before, that when you give birth in labor and delivery, that's not where you're going to stay. So once you have had baby, and baby has been assessed, and you've been assessed for any signs of hemorrhaging, any complications, making sure that the placenta detaches, you've gotten that APGAR score for baby, and they've made plans for transfer, then you will move to a postpartum suite. And that's where you will likely begin the rest of your hospital stay. Whether your hospital offers 5-day compassion stay or not, that's where you're going to move to heal. Same with if you have a C-section. If you have a C-section, you will be moved to a postpartum floor where you can recover. So this occurs even if baby goes to the NICU, you will also still receive a postpartum suite to heal and receive your own care in, or baby will go with you. And these are usually a little bit more comfortable, less clinical. They're a space that has like its own crib and usually a bathroom, and sometimes they have a shower, sometimes they have a tub, and they have beds and usually some chairs or a bench for visitors to sit on, and they should provide you with everything that you need to care for baby while you're in the hospital for the remainder of your stay. Sometimes, depending on hospitals' policies, your doula, if you have one, or your support person, if you have one, sometimes support people are allowed to go with you to the postpartum unit. Under COVID, they weren't letting people come and go from the hospital due to COVID risk, unless under certain circumstances. Usually you get a band for your support person. So that could be your partner, that could be your doula, that could be a relative, a friend, whoever you decide to have be your like primary support person, and they're usually allowed to go in and out of postpartum as much as they like. You won't always be allowed to have multiple people, and if you have a support person and a doula, they usually only allow one person to have the band and come in and out. That's not to say that you can't still receive support from any of your other support people. It just might look different. You have a phone in your room, so even if you don't have access to a cell phone, you are going to have a landline that people can call directly. So, and there's always a board up on the wall that has your information, and you can have your support people. This is always good to put in your birth plan, contact information, and write it up on that board so that when you need to call, whether that's your attorney, your caseworker, your CPS worker's number, because you want to know what that is, you have all of that information on your board and you have a phone to call them. They'll have food there for you. They usually only provide the birthing person with food. So if you have a partner there with you, they have to pay for their food, which can be not great. So having a plan for that, maybe it's people bring food to your support person while they're in the hospital if they can't come and go, or you have a birth bag prepared that has snacks and things for you to bring in with you. So you can bring in your own snacks and items, comfort items with you as well. I'm not gonna lie, hospitals have been known to search your belongings. So making sure that what you have in your bag is stuff that you feel comfortable with them seeing. This again is not an exhaustive list, but I just wanted this to be something that was on your mind, that you were thinking of. I want you to think about, you know, when you're in this labor and delivery space, do you have a phone charger? Do you have deodorant, a toothbrush, you know, whatever it is that you think that you're going to want or need during this time. And if you don't, do you have a support person that can get that stuff for you and get it to you? I've oftentimes ended up in labor and delivery or postpartum with someone, and we were like, oh crap, we don't have a phone charger. And they do have those in the hospital gift shop. Sometimes they're more expensive than they would be if you like just brought your own in, but that is an option. So having the means available to get what you need if you have to go to the hospital gift shop, or there's usually a Starbucks in a hospital or whatever too. So just some things to think about. Let me know if you have any other questions, comments, concerns. Hit me up through my channels, and I hope this was helpful. We'll see you soon.